What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and thank you all for tuning in. As always, really appreciate each and every one of you. For today's video, this is a little bit different than what you usually see on my channel. We're going to do a review of the new 2027 Honda 450. I was able to go to the intro that they had at Millville a couple weeks ago. Huge thank you to my guy Brandon Scher, Ryan Dudek, and everybody over at Honda for allowing me to take part in that activity. It was a super cool opportunity. Never thought I'd have the chance to not only ride and test a new bike like that, but just the fact that I got to ride it all was pretty cool. It's been since Nam since I got to ride, and I got to ride a Titty City Vet Prep version of one of the best pro motocross tracks on the circuit. But this 2027 Honda 450 has been highly anticipated for quite some time now. Tons, and I mean tons of changes and new additions to the platform. And while every other media outlet and their mother, brother, cousin, dog, and goldfish, they've already released their reviews on the bike, I was deep in Loretta's content last week when the embargo lifted, so we're a week late compared to everybody else, but this video is all about my first impressions of riding the all-new 2027 Honda 450, and hopefully we can answer some questions like, is it as good as everybody's saying it is? Is it as good as Honda's claiming it's going to be? Will this bike be a shootout-winning, unstoppable monster? And maybe the biggest question of them all, will the Lawrence brothers be even better on it? I'll start the video by explaining the specs and letting you guys all know what's new for 2027 on this bike. Then I'll let you watch my GoPro POV from my laps on the machine where I tried to give some commentary regarding my thoughts on the bike, but for the most part, I was way too out of breath to talk. And then to finish the video off, I'll go in depth and detail my opinions on the new 2027 Honda CRF 450. I'll even compare it to the 2026 Honda 450 that I rode just before hopping on the 2027. And the 2027 that I got to ride had just been ridden by Hunter Lawrence, so I even got to experience the full Lawrence Brothers setup, the tight steering, the brake pedal sky high, levers in, and all that fun stuff. I've never really done a bike review or anything like this before. This was my first time getting an opportunity like this, so I really hope you guys enjoy the video and find it informative. And please let me know in the comments what you did like, what you didn't like, and all the things that you think could be better about this video, because hopefully I'll be able to do things like this again in the future, and I just want to be as good as I can for the people. No choice. But before we get into all that, gotta give a huge thank you to the channel sponsors. They make all these videos possible, so please do me a favor and go check them out. Then we'll get into the video. Huge thank you to ASV Inventions, home of the unbreakable lever and the new S1 series single pivot adjustable lever. Sirius Studio, they can take care of all your merch needs. The DesignLabCo.com, they got some great designs in their lab at their co. On Track School, they got the best homeschooling programs on the east and the west of the Mississippi. They can help you chase your dreams while you get an education. And last but not least, Maynard Racing Performance. They can get you dialed in with some gold valves and get her nice and plush for you. Feel like you're riding on a cloud. I have links and discount codes and all that fun stuff in my video description, and if you guys are supporting them, you're supporting me. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoy. Alright, to start this thing off, let's go over the specs for this brand new 2027 Honda 450, and when they gave me this document, told me to read it over and see what all was new for 2027, and didn't take me long to realize that pretty much almost everything is new for 2027, so they've made nothing but changes to this new bike. To get into some of these bullet points, some of the new additions for 2027, there is a 9.9 pound weight reduction, which that's huge. I mean, these four strokes, the 450s are heavy, so getting 10 pounds less, that's a huge feather in the cap of Honda, and they've actually done a lot of it through the engine. We'll get a little bit more into that here soon, but they've got revised base geometry and rider position. The wheelbase is now 58.7 inches. It's 0.3 inches longer than it was before, and the rear axle has been moved upwards by 0.5 inches. The rake has been increased, so all that's trying to go in the direction of making the bike more stable. They got a brand new 6-pound lighter engine with more power across the rev range and 17mm narrower width. Maximum power output is 10.3% higher, while maximum torque is 3.7% higher, so that's going to lead to a 60 horsepower monster. But then there's new bodywork. It matches the works bikes that are used by HRC Honda Petronas MXGP team. They're doing that to try to unify the Honda racing image and brand. They got a new larger capacity titanium fuel tank. It was 1.7, now it's 1.9 gallons. Sustainable materials are used for some parts, including the front fender, front number plate, side panels, and seat base. The new engine has a more rigid crankshaft assembly and new bearings. The bore and stroke has been changed. They optimized the shape of the combustion chamber and piston crown. They've updated their fuel injection and ignition settings, a new airbox, new air filter, and new air funnel redesigned for straighter airflow. They've evolved their Unicam valve train system that's lighter and more compact, larger intake and exhaust valves, a more aggressive cam profile, and a switch to titanium exhaust valves, steeper angle for all those valves, and a shorter, steeper downdraft intake. New clutch setup with a lighter design, a redesigned transmission that's lighter and smaller and has revised taller gear ratios. They got a more reliable starter system, a new exhaust system to meet the AMA sound limits, a new main wiring harness, a new design for the mainframe and rear subframe, as they got about 70% of the mainframe's components that are new. There's a new swing arm, chain slider, and plastic chain guide plate, and that swing arm is another place where they cut weight. They got it at 1.1 pounds lighter. They've changed the internals and the oil setting in the suspension. Extensive steps have been taken to optimize the damping, feel, and consistency. They switched the fork from the traditional bend and control valve configuration to a dynamic blow system, main piston valve structure. For improved stroke consistency, of course. We all knew that was why they were doing that, right? They got Kashima coating added onto internal suspension parts front and rear, stiffer front suspension springs, a new shock linkage with a revised ratio, new rear wheel hub design. It comes with Dunlop MX34 tires, both front and rear, and we've got extensive detail updates to simplify bike maintenance. So yeah, some of you guys might have gotten bored by that. I don't even know everything I just said, but those are all the specs. That's straight from Honda themselves. Those are all the things that are going to be new on this 2027, but that's just on paper. Now let's see what it's like on track. I'll give you guys my GoPro POV from some laps around Millville. And remember, it's been a long time since I've ridden. We are rusty. We are washed up straight out of the shower. So if I make this bike look decent, then it's got to be really good. But why don't you guys see for yourselves? Buckle up. Let's ride.
What?
2027 Honda CR450 National. We're testing it, baby. Millville. Just rode a 26, knocked the rust off. This thing's the Lawrence spec. It's got the tight steering. The levers are all in. Brake pedal sky high. It's gonna be an interesting adjustment. Buddy Antonet's barking. It's my first time on gas machinery since last October. Is insane. Hunter's been riding this bike today. This is wild. We got more sand whips than a damn National. The tractor dry out a little bit. I don't want to send it on a freaking slicker than Diddy's bedroom floor National. Corners like a super mini. Woo! That was a good thing. It's about 1,000 times better in the whoops than the 26. What if I said that and just weeded it right there? That would have been something. off. No shame, no choice. Let's go, Budman. He's man enough to hit him. I probably won't ride again for another year. Whoa! God. This looks like a better track for me. A lefty right here. Alright, I'm going to try to do a few laps at air quote speed. Keyword is try.
Alright, now that you guys have all seen my washed up ass flounder around Millville on this new 2027 Honda 450, and lack of talent may or may not have made the bike look a little worse than it actually was, but the question remains, is the bike as good as everybody says it is, and is it as good as Honda claimed it was going to be? It's hard for me to answer that considering I don't really ride almost at all anymore and I haven't raced in a while, but my short answer to this question is going to be yes. If you all followed along with me back when I actually did stuff and raced myself, then you would know that I bleed blue, and I've been a huge Yamaha guy for as long as I can remember. And coming into this thing, Hondas were kind of known for having a lot of the opposite characteristics of a Yamaha. Yamahas are known for being super stable and having incredible handling, while Honda, they've kind of been haunted by reviews of being twitchy and all-around instability at the Nationals. So coming into this thing as a Yamaha guy, I didn't really know what to expect, and I was actually a little bit nervous as to what to expect just based off some of those preconceived notions, but the boys at Honda actually hooked it up extra hard and let me spin some laps and knock the rust off on a 2026 Honda 450 before I rode the 2027, so that let me get a good feel for a Honda and get an accurate comparison as to what the difference between the 2026 and the 2027 were. So I headed out to bark some laps on Millville on the 2026, and typically I'm pretty insensitive when it comes to setup and things I don't like on a dirt bike, but I pretty quickly found a few things that I really didn't like. The bike felt all wobbly and unstable in the rear, like somewhere like the sand whoops. I really didn't feel like I could attack and just didn't know what the bike was going to do at all. Coming down the hills, the front was collapsing really bad and it was leading to harsh feelings of instability, and just in general, the high-speed sections felt almost as sketchy as kindergarten artwork, especially compared to the Yamaha that I know so well. It was a fun bike to ride, but I'm just not sure how I would feel about really pushing the limits in a race situation with that bike compared to some of the others I've raced. But that was last year's model. For 2027, Honda's taken numerous steps to try to get away from that stigma and change not only what everybody thinks about the Honda, but most importantly, change how it feels on the track. When I jumped on the 2027, it only took me about a lap or so to realize that all of my complaints I had about the 2026 were fixed on the 2027. I right away noticed that the wobbly feeling in the sand rollers was completely gone, and I was actually able to attack them much harder and all the way to the end. And when I rode the 27, the rollers were freshly watered compared to whenever I rode the 2026, and I'd kind of already drained the little bit of talent that I had left while I was riding the 26, so feeling that much better in my least favorite section of the track immediately was a very good first positive sign for the 2027. Another thing I very quickly noticed was the sound. We got some new sound regulations coming into play for 2027, so the bike is noticeably quieter, but you can expect the same thing from all the manufacturers coming soon. And with this thing having a quieter sound, one would think that maybe the bike got slower, but one would be making an ass out of you and me and would be dead wrong, because the bike actually got faster, and holy Toledo, the thing rips. Admittedly, I kept the unit in third gear pretty much the whole time because for me, second gear basically put shoulder dislocations and whiplash into my contract, but even while hitting some of the tightest turns in third gear, the bike always had more than enough snap to get me out or over anything I needed, and it felt like riding around in third gear on the 2027 was a little bit easier than it was on the 2026. Third gear on the 27 felt a little bit taller, and the clutch bangs were a little extra and excessive and not even really needed at all. It was just me kind of reverting back to riding my two-stroke in the old days, but the bike is plenty fast and it handles optimally if you just roll on the power rather than doing what my dumb ass was doing. It's been a while since I rode. Do as I say, not as I do, I promise, but despite being faster horsepower-wise, I did think the 2027 tracked better coming out of corners also. The straight line drive was just insane on this thing, and I felt like I could pop the clutch and just carry the front wheel for 3 to 5 business miles. Even coming out of some corners where there was a little bit of chop, it just felt like the rear wheel would stay on the ground and just stay driving forward compared to what the 2026 would do. Then when it came to going down the hills on the 2027, it had much more hold up than the 2026, and I actually felt like I could charge down the hill and have control when I got to the bottom, where that wasn't the case on the 26. The 26 was bottomed out, and it felt like I was going all the way down to where it got harsh, where the 2027, it doesn't dive down like that near as bad, and it actually feels way more plush despite being stiffer because it's not all the way at the bottom of the stroke on that harsh BS, so you got much better feel coming down the hills and into corners. The cornering definitely wasn't a problem on the 2026, and I felt like the 2027 cornered about the same, if not even a little bit better. That aspect of the bike's a little bit harder for me to judge at this point because my corners were so bad, but I did feel like the 2027 made them a little bit easier than they should have been. The only thing corner-wise that wasn't perfect for me is that if there was a shallow part of the rut or turn, then I kept finding myself wanting to jump out of it a little bit, but I'm also fairly certain that that was more than likely a skill issue, and it happens on a lot of bikes. If I had told the boys in red what was happening, I'm 99% sure they would have fixed it on the spot. I would have went right back out and it would have been primo, but it's kind of on me for just now thinking of it and assuming that I just sucked at turns while I was there, which is also true. And this isn't going to be a great look for me, but I'm just being honest without a choice, but I kind of didn't really notice the weight difference all that much. I feel bad to say that. It's one of the biggest improvements they've made on the machine, but I'm a two-stroke guy. My YZ250 is and feels way lighter than both the 2026 and the 2027 Honda. So while it's obvious that the new bike is much lighter and lighter is definitely better, I just didn't really notice it all that much because to me, they were both heavy as crap compared to my machine. Sorry, Honda, that one's on me. And I mentioned it while I was out there, but the overall stability felt so much better on this bike. I felt much more like I was on something closer to a Yamaha stability when I rode the 2027 compared to the 26. And Millville has some pretty fast sections, like the Michael Mosiman Memorial Trip to Tuckistan Sweeper, where I felt a little uneasy through there on the 2026, but even after some track watering, I felt much safer on the 2027 through the high-speed stuff, and feeling safe is of the utmost importance to me at this point. I'm sure some of you are picking up what I'm putting down. We're not all trying to go race a national. The only thing I found on the bike that I didn't love at first was there was one section at the top of the hill after the catapult where the rear end was kind of packing on me and then unloading at the top, giving me a bit of a swap and a kick. I went back to the semi. I told my guy Brandon Scherer, the Honda guru, what was going on, and he hit me with the one click slower on the rebound spec, and we were straight up dialed in at Titty City whenever I went back out to try it. Throughout all my laps on the bike, I felt like I had that one complaint, and he fixed it immediately. So I feel like I just rambled on for a little bit too long, probably way too long, but dang it, I'm just trying to cover all my bases and letting you guys know how this bike is. But in conclusion, is this bike as good as everybody says it is? Is it as good as Honda claims it's going to be? My answer is yes. The 2027 Honda CRF 450 is that good. It's much better than the 2026, and all the weaknesses have been fixed, with some of those even being turned into strengths now. Overall, this bike's going to be a dangerous package for riders and racers everywhere in 2027 and beyond. There are a lot of times where a new model is all hyped up like this and it goes full USPS during the holidays mode and doesn't deliver, but I can't say the same about this bike. I think Honda knocked it out of the park, and a lot of the things I was hearing while I was at Millville for this event were people with similar opinions to mine. The bike is badass. I'm a little bit nervous for how much better the Lawrence brothers could be on it, and all in all, I am beyond thankful that I got the opportunity to participate in something like this. Huge thank you to Honda, huge thank you to Brandon Scherer, huge thank you to Ryan Dudek, and thank you to everybody that was involved in this event. Thank you to all of you guys for tuning in. Please let me know if you enjoyed the video, what you liked, what you didn't like, if I'm just a cooked unit and should give it up, or anything in between. You guys know I'm here for all of it, but yeah, that's my review on the 2027 Honda CRF 450. It's a badass unit, and I'm stoked I got to ride it. But thank you guys again for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Free of choice.